We'll start out with 3 things that I think Chipp players should be doing more of. And the first one, and this is going to sound incredibly obvious to anyone who's not a Chipp player, but for Chipp players, I think this is actually going to be pretty useful. The first thing that Chipp players need to be doing more of is doing combo routes that end in knockdowns. Yeah, that's what I said. Doing combo routes that end in knockdowns. And the reason why I am compelled to caveat this with anyone else, literally any other character is going to be like, yeah, dumbass, of course you do combos that ends in knockdowns, right? But the thing is there are actually 2 reasons why Chipp players usually don't go for combos that end in knockdowns, especially newer Chipp players. One is that Chipp has so many neutral tools that early on it's easy to not really give a fuck if you knock them down or not, right? Like, look at this, for example. Let's say I hit just the most basic route into knockdown is a 2D. Okay, I get 50 damage. And yeah, I can do mix afterwards, but off 50 damage, no one's gonna be scared by that. I have to hit you with this like actually 12 times or something, right? And so Chipp players can very easily just turn up the damage by going like this instead. Cool. I did almost double my damage, right? Now the problem is, when you do combos that end, especially into low rekka is like minus on hit, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's very easy for Chipp players to get caught up in the fun of just hitting buttons, right? Oh, I just ended on 1 rekka. Okay, I'm +2. I can go back in. Maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I'll get something else. Blah 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 blah. Right? Or like Noah's talking about, if you do jump installs, you can get a lot of damage off that 2D, right? You can turn that into 151 damage. Holy shit, right? Oh yeah, sure. And so it can be very tempting as Chipp to not take combos that end in knockdowns, because off a grounded string, well, you know, you can still be plus after this, so that's not too bad, right? And it just feels like you give up so much damage, right? Especially once you learn how to do jump install, you want to jump install everything all the fucking time, even if it doesn't do any damage. Like, I'm going to jump install this combo. I didn't even break 100, right? But it feels more satisfying to do. And so Chipp players end up doing a lot of combos that don't end in knockdowns. Instead, they'll do combos that end in situations that they can turn into stuff, right? But so that's one reason, right? One reason is just that a lot of Chipp's easier combo routes, including jump install routes, usually don't end in a knockdown, right? If I go for a jump install combo and I want to end it in a knockdown, I usually have to spend meter. I have to get like, dropped out. Let's try that again. Kai's a little weird on this one. Yeah, I usually have to spend like 50 meter on a Ryunagi or something, and sometimes it's worth it, right? But often it isn't. The other reason Chipp players usually often don't go into knockdowns off combos is because when you have Alpha Blade and it lets you, this is kind of like a horizontal Dragon Punch a little bit, right? Like, he's actually strike invincible for part of this move, and he clears most of the screen, and he can do it in the air, and he only has like 10 frames recovery. When you have teleport and you can just get a cross up from literally the other side of the screen, when you can air dash, when you got 3 fucking jumps, when you got a Gamma Blade that you can YRC, you can YRC and just cover the screen and get a combo if it hits, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's really easy to not go for knockdowns because you have all these other things, right? The value of a knockdown for most characters feels really high because you probably had to do a whole lot of work in neutral to get that knockdown. But Chipp doesn't have to do shit work in neutral. Chipp can just do that, right? And so because of that, Chipp players often get a little bit over comfortable in neutral because they can just do this, and if it works out, great, you didn't have to fucking play neutral, right? You can treat every like air tech situation as a possible reset, and if it works, you feel like a genius. But that only applies when it works, right? So the reason I say that more Chipp players should do combo routes that end in knockdowns is because when shit works, like when stupid shit like teleporting in neutral or throwing out random Alpha Blade or whatever, when that shit works, you don't feel the cost of giving up that knockdown. But when you play against good players who don't necessarily give you that free pressure because they're smart about when they air tech and they pay attention to what the fuck you're doing, then approaching starts to get a little bit more dangerous, right? Because the thing about Chipp is he's got the lowest fucking health in the game. If I am letting Kai air tech out of something like this, right? Yeah, I still get an anti-air situation after this, but if I misplay it and I get hit, I'm gonna take a fuck ton of damage. If I win the situation, what am I gonna get? Like an air throw? Maybe if I'm lucky, I get something big like a counter hit 6H or a counter hit 2H. But I could have just taken the knockdown. And if I took the knockdown, like the way to think about a knockdown is that it's even a bad knockdown, even a knockdown that doesn't give you much in the way of like tricky Oki afterwards, is still a safe approach that lets you hit like a meaty Gamma Blade or you know, go for a leaf grab or some stupid shit like that, right? So yeah, number one thing that Chipp players should do more of is do combo routes that end in knockdowns. Now, I don't mean that everything should end in 2D, because yes, you're giving, unless you're in the corner, right? In the corner, you can get your knockdown and your damage by doing shit like this, right? But mid-screen, that doesn't mean that you should end everything in 2D. What it does mean is that you need to learn some of the more advanced combo routes that let you get some good damage and a knockdown, right? So for example, yeah, like in general, if I can get a mid-screen 2D and set up some mix, I might be happy with that depending on the situation, right? Especially if it's off like a 2K starter, for example. Like you're not getting any damage off a 2K starter, so you might as well take a good knockdown. But if I hit like a far S into 5H, right? Far S or 2S, these are both really, really good buttons, but the problem is that they don't easily, you can't Gatling them into 2D, right? So you're not going to get the easy knockdown, but what you can do is you can get the 5H into IAD JD. Fuck, don't mess it up. Whoa, why am I messing this up? Oh, am I doing it with plus R time? Yeah, there we go. There we go, yeah. Look at the damage there, 101, that's not bad, right? You can even make the string a little bit easier, 110, right? So all of a sudden we're starting to get some good damage and we get a knockdown. Now this knockdown is not fantastic. Look, if I try and do Oki, like I don't have enough timing to get like a good safe jump, like cross up left, right, or whatever. In this case, usually what I'm going to be getting is like, if I'm feeling cheeky, I can go for a shuriken, especially if they don't have meter. If they have enough to blitz, do not use that shuriken as the Oki. But even this, I can fake. I can go for a P teleport. You can set up like a leaf grab, right? Hey, oh, that was a little early, but you get the idea, right? The main point is doing that. You got pretty good damage, right? You're doing better. You're getting close to 100, right? And you get an okay knockdown that you can do shit afterwards, right? Even if it's just meaty Gamma Blade, right? Like you can do shit after a meaty Gamma Blade. And the second thing is, the second part of this is like, so IAD JD is a good way to get the grounded route, right? But for juggles, doing that, right? Going into IAD JD off the 5H or IAD JP JD off the 5H also gives you a pretty good knockdown. Again, I wouldn't run like side-to-side mix here unless I thought I could get away with some shit, because it's still not that good. Right, 94 damage, like that can get Dragon Punched or Volcanic Vipered or whatever, so ideally you're not doing that. But you can do stuff like Find Me and then I don't think that Gamma's meaty, but I think most people will respect it, right? Pretty good. And you're still getting okay damage, right? So you get the knockdown, you get the Find Me, and then you get like a kind of like a light mix afterwards, which isn't bad, right? And the most important thing is you got all of that without having to risk getting hit, which is pretty major, right? That is, like, playing Chipp is all about risk reward and being smart about taking the risks. And if you are letting the opponent air tech a lot, you're creating more situations in which you can get hit. So, yeah, tip number one is do more combo routes that end in a fucking knockdown. Just do it. I know it doesn't feel as good in the moment, but what you will feel instead, once you grow to recognize it, is your ass will get kicked less. And honestly, the most powerful thing about a knockdown, besides it being essentially a safe approach for Chipp, which is really big, it's a huge deal. The big thing about a knockdown is that is like a good, second or so in which the opponent is not playing the game, right? And people feel that. the more you put people in knockdown situations, like the person playing against you probably doesn't understand that well what a good chip knockdown is versus a bad chip knockdown or an okay knockdown, right? They're probably just treating all knockdowns of roughly equal value. And so the more different situations you can put them in where they feel like they're forced to guess, right? Especially if they don't really know what your options are, the more mental damage, the more mental fatigue you're going to be forcing them through, right? If I knock you down 5 times in round 1, and maybe that's it, like maybe I took the round, but I wasn't really doing any big damage or something, you now have 5 different situations in which you had to guess. Right? Mentally, you might be exhausted just from that round. Me, I'm chilling. I probably just did meaty gamma blade on like half of them. So yes, one more time, say it with me now, chip players, do fucking combo routes that end in knockdowns, even if you're giving up damage. The trick is to figure out how you can level up your execution to get more damage, right? So one example, you've probably seen me working on this a lot lately, is Chip can do TK Alpha Blade and combo it off 5H if he's good, like that, right? And this is awesome because it gives you a really good knockdown. You can actually get a solid FTC mix afterwards, right? The trick is that you have to do it to crouching opponents, and you have to, well, if you can do a regular Alpha Blade off this as well, and if you space it right, you can get the Alpha Plus, which gives you a good knockdown. Yeah, that's pretty good, right? Like that. See, that's 122. I got the left right afterwards. Didn't have to do anything too tricky. But if you get really good with the TK Alpha Blade, then you can just get more damage and more knockdowns like all over the screen, which is awesome. And this is why it's worth learning how to do the hard shit. See, I'm still fucking this up a lot. But the reason you want to learn how to do the hard shit is because it lets you do stuff like convert FAR S and 5H into tools that give you knockdowns and sometimes better damage as well. This is one of the things I've been working on. See, look at that. That's good. 111 off of 6P. Confirming a crouching, not bad. There we go. And oh, you see, yeah, you get the good mix after that. So you get the nice long knockdown from the Alpha Blade. Oh. I love that this stream archive is just gonna have me dropping a shit 80 billion times. This is why I need to practice it. There we go. No! Why am I dropping this? Why am I dropping the easy part? Oh, you know why? It's because I've been this is one of the first times, if you see the hand cam, this is one of the first times I'm using my right hand to try jumping for the TK here. And I'm still very much getting used to this. I've mostly been practicing doing it with left hand and just getting to be a bit too much. So yeah, that was tip number 1. Is do more combo routes that end in knockdowns. Tip number 2, things that chip players should be using more of, is find me. Look at this. He actually turns completely invisible briefly because the effect strobes, right? You have probably seen me, if you watched the stream before, you've probably seen me do this and then do like a string into Rekkas that ends in the overhead when I'm completely invisible, right? That shit is nasty. But the real reason to find me is this makes people panic. This is like a good just like throw a wrench into how your brain works. The moment Chip starts strobing in and out and they can't clearly see what he's gonna do, people will panic in all kinds of different ways. Some people panic by just blocking. They're like, well, I'm gonna see what happens, right? Some people panic by mashing. And if they mash, it's actually good because what they're trying to do is clear you of the status as quickly as possible. The important thing is that you can recognize what people do once find me is applied and they kind of the stakes are up a little bit. Really, what find me does because we were talking about risk reward earlier, what find me does is it makes anything you do next seem more threatening, right? Teleport, Alpha Blade, like risky shit, but also stuff like just nothing, right? You can do find me here. This is actually really scary. And Find Me takes, I think it's in total, the animation takes a second, right? So the trick is to find opportunities in the flow of the match where you can throw on Find Me for like free or low cost, right? If you have to, you can just YRC it, teleport in, or whatever the fuck you want. But what I like to do is, I like to feel out the pace of a match, right? If in general the other person is going in as quickly as possible and they're not really doing much to like change up their approach, right? Like for example, CT Warrior is a good example because CT does not always go in. CT stops, CT backdashes, CT will just walk. Same thing with Daemendo. Like good players will mix up their approach to make it a little bit less predictable. But if you notice that the way the other person is playing is that they're constantly just instant air dashing or ground dashing back into the mix because they want to get into those attack and defense situations as often as possible, then what you can do is, well, you can do stuff like briefly run away, right? The other thing is, players often assume against Chipp, that Chipp will be going in all the time, especially if you are a particularly aggro Chipp. I tend to be a little bit slower of a Chipp player, and it's because I want to do stuff like use Find Me or use Slow Shuriken. That's the other thing, right? And so if you can train players into thinking that since you're coming in all the time, all they need to do is just chill on their side of the screen and wait for you to do something, well, that's a perfect opportunity to do like a 2-2P to fake them out. If they're still chilling, just throw on Find Me. Cool. You stole that for free. It's like jam charging a card for free, rather. Same thing with Slow Shuriken and Fast Shuriken, right? Slow Shuriken takes a while to get it out, right? You have to discard it. But Fast Shuriken, you can like super jump, throw this thing, and just air dash at them, and you are covering like over half the screen, right? It's not quite as good as a YRC Gamma Blade, but it's pretty fucking good. And being able to use these tools to just make your next approach a little bit safer and panic the opponent a little bit is incredibly important, right? It's what makes Chipp not just like a fast Soul or Kai, but actually a fucking ninja. So yeah, the next thing you should do is Find Me. You can find opportunities for this in neutral. The other good opportunity is, and we'll get this is actually the last, or there's a couple good opportunities, right? So one is like I was doing earlier, if you do the ID JD off of a Gamma Blade or an anti-air combo, like that usually gives you the opportunity to get meaty Gamma, which is nice because it means you get to most likely take the turn next, but you also get to do it under the cover of Find Me, which just makes everything a little bit more scary. Often you can do it after either you hit your opponent and, let's see. Oh, didn't air tech there. Oh, because we have air tech set to random, right? Let's set it to backwards. So if they air tech backwards, you can often do Find Me and then YRC it if you see them air dashing back in. If you burst someone off of you can get a Find Me. If they burst you off them, you can often get a Find Me. Just all these little opportunities where it's like, what else would you be doing otherwise? Well, if you wanted, like, let's be honest, you were probably going to teleport back in or Alpha Blade back in or throw a Gamma Blade back in. And all of those things could potentially get you killed. But Find Me, when your opponent is on the other side of the screen, that's just value, baby. Which brings me to my third point, right? Which is a specific corner combo that also leads into Find Me and Mix. And all it is the 5d6, right? So you know how 5d6 works. You hit the 5d and then you hold forward and you get the like running round in dust, right? And 5d on its own is like a decent button for Chipp. It hits super far away. Look at that. But where I really like it is if you got 50 meter and you hit like a grounded combo that ends in Reckons, right? Maybe you hit it off like a full starter. Maybe it was blocked and the only thing you hit was like the low at the end, right? Doesn't matter. You go into 5D, right? That's some okay damage. But if you're a little bit closer to the corner, if you're close enough to get them into the corner, actually. Oh, fucked it up. Basically, what you can do is you can choose. So dust, when you hit 5D, either in the air or on the ground, you basically have a certain window of time where you can cancel like anything into anything, basically. And that's what lets you do stuff like 2H, 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 or whatever. So usually what I like to do here is you hit the Rectas, you RC. Look at that. So I got two 2Hs, I canceled into Find Me, and he's still got enough hit stun left. Yeah, 6H has its own uses. For this route, I don't actually like 6H. I much prefer 2H into 5H, and then you get the Find Me, right? But the thing is, because you got him all the way into the corner, you can actually keep going. So check that out. There's a reset and a leaf grab. Right? That's pretty good. If you don't want to risk the leaf grab reset. Oh. Actually, this one might be character specific. You can go for the steal the corner off teleport, right? And that knockdown actually combos, right? That's the wild thing. You have enough time to apply Find Me and continue the combo. So that's 160, and then another 87 unscaled, right? And that's if I pop him out of the corner. If I didn't pop him out of the corner, if I converted better, you get, like, ideally, you get corner mix after this too, right? So off 50 meter, if you think about all the things that you could spend on 50 meter, right? You could spend 50 meter on a knockdown with Ryunagi, great. That's okay. But you could also spend 50 meter on a combo like this, which gives you a knockdown, a potential reset, into some corner mix, which is exactly where Chipp wants to be, all with Find Me. 50 meter gave you all that. So yeah, when you're thinking about how to spend your meter, you could spend it on Zansei, but comboing into 5d6 and getting the Find Me and the corner combo damage and the mix afterwards that might just lead to them losing the round, like, that's a lot of value for 50 meter. Sick. So that was 3 things that Chipp players should do more of. Now let's talk about 3 things that people should do against me, specifically against me, but this is generally useful against Chipp players in general. So one is, and I say this all the time, I'm not gonna demo it, but it's using Blitz. Using Blitz specifically whenever you see Chipp about to fucking JH you, right? So I'm sure all of you are used to getting the FTC mix, right? So like this. Oh, what side is he gonna land on? Oh, I don't know. Oh, he's crossing me up. What am I to do? What's going on? Oh no, he got the left, right? Oh, such big damage. Oh, he's gonna teleport. Oh my god, right? If you think of this as a left-right mix-up, then it's very scary, because realistically, you're probably not reacting to like, oh, Chipp just went a little bit further, you know, now I have to block the other way, right? And if Chipp is doing this right, you don't even get cross-up protection on this shit. And it's not even like if he does it well too, like the situations themselves are not necessarily that easy to reproduce. So you know that there's a left-right coming, but you might not be able to read exactly what situations are leading to it, you know? What's the answer to this? Well, you Blitz, because Blitz is, it doesn't care what side you're on, right? Now, what this means is that as long as you're doing a stand Blitz, ideally a tap Blitz, but you can do the hold Blitz. There's different risk reward on the hold Blitz. Hey, what up, Aaron? If you do the tap Blitz, right, and you time it right, then what happens is Chipp is put into an error rejected state where the only thing I can do is tap Blitz back, right? That is a really bad position for Chipp. It is unlikely that I will get the tap Blitz back. If I do get a tap Blitz back, the reward probably isn't that good. But if you hit me when I'm in error rejected, I'm just gonna fucking die, because that's what Chipp does when he gets hit, right? Blitz is like this big ass stop sign, and so right off the bat, it's just a really good idea to use Blitz to challenge this mix-up, right? Now I know that some of y'all are gonna be like, but what if you bait the Blitz? What if you do empty jump low, or you do a throw? Now I spent 25 meter, and I feel like I can't use Blitz. That is exactly what I want you to think, right? Because look at this. Look at the payoff that I get. We'll see a max mid-screen payoff off a JH, right? So, that's 162 meterless. Pretty good, right? Now let's see what I get off a low. 39. And a knockdown, but still 39. Let's 90. right? You can get a little bit more than that off of empty jump low, right? If I do fewer normals. Oh, dropped it. So yeah, Gage, you're saying flash kick is free. The thing is that flash kick is easily safe jumped by the mix. You cannot use reversals for this if I'm doing it right, because I'm just gonna block and kill you. The thing about Blitz is you can't safe jump Blitz because it's active frame 1, right? That is why you can't safe jump it. So if you're flash kicking, what that tells me is, oh, you don't actually understand how this interaction works. You think it's a mix-up and it's not, right? So I'm gonna fuck you up and I'm gonna take that free damage. Thank you, right? And I'm gonna get a sick punish if the safe jump works, right? The reason why you use Blitz is because you can't safe jump it, right? And so what I was saying was, if you look at the difference in the payout between the empty jump low or the throw, right? Off a throw, my mix is terrible. What do I get? I get at best, maybe I get to go for like a counter hit JD if you fuck up again, or I do like a backdash and a mini gamma blaze. That's kind of it. Throw mix is pretty risky for Chipp, right? It's not a good knockdown. So, if you are worried about getting your Blitz baited and that's why you don't use it, then you're playing into exactly what the Chipp player wants, because the Chipp player knows that my payoff off a high hit is way bigger than my payoff off a low hit, right? The moment you start representing Blitz, even if you baited that, even if I bait it, the moment you start representing Blitz, I have to start respecting you in this mix. You're not gonna, if you're not just treating it as, oh, it's a 50-50, either I block left or right, and if I'm right, then I live, and if I'm not, then I die, right? The moment you start representing Blitz, even if you're wrong about it, I have to now play a game with you that if I don't have to play, my life gets a lot fucking easier. So, even if you think I'm going to bait the Blitz, and I will almost certainly bait your Blitz at least once or twice in a set, it doesn't matter. It's more important than you're playing that game, right? You can think of it like poker, right? If you are only willing to play hands where you feel like you have a decent shot right off the rip, then I get to understand your risk profile very easily, and it's very easy for me to play around that. But if you demonstrate that you're willing to Blitz that, even just once, even if you're wrong, then I have to keep those rotations into account. This is now a layer of the game that if I don't have to play, my life is easier. Chipp gets good reward off like 2D in the corner, right? Yes, he does. But 2D is you're probably not going to be going for empty jump low on a 2D. Not unless you space it differently. Because it's just too slow. So, number one thing that people should be doing more of is blitzing my JH cross up, right? If you do this, then my Oki completely changes once you have 25 meter. The second thing you should be doing is baiting my 6Ps. So y'all know Chipp 6P. It's a good ass button. It's a really good counter poke. It will stuff a lot of shit because Chipp is invincible from the knees up, basically. So anytime anyone's swinging with standing buttons, 6P will often beat it, right? It's also good as an anti-air, but here's the thing. You see how far in front of him he hits? It's good for anti-airs when you're jumping in at around this range. If you can't see, I'm using the mouse to highlight like around his head, right? If you are jumping in here, it's fantastic. If you're jumping in a little bit higher or behind me or whatever, 6P no longer does its work, right? And Chipp players are generally supposed to, we're going to set Kai to jump. Do jumping, and can we get him to mash attacks? I forget if the let's just do that. I don't remember. Oh, continuous attack. Here we go. I don't remember how to set this up though. Oh, there we go. Well, that wasn't quite what I wanted. Hey, thanks for the raid. Yeah, we'll just set it to train dummy jumping, right? So you can see, like, out here, 6P is good. Once I'm up close, not quite so good, right? It can actually whip if I space it poorly. The other thing is, 6P has a long-ass recovery time. Look at that. I have to actually, I personally am really bad at, like, RCing my whiffed 6Ps, because I'm used to people just letting me get away with it. But if you look at good players, they punish me for 6P all the time, right? Sometimes it might not be a direct punish, they might not be hitting me, but a lot of times they'll use like a mobility option like Bridal Express, or a double jump, or a delay like Pineberry, right? Soul's dive kick, whatever. Because what I want to do is like when you're jumping, you're forming these lovely parabolas, right? And I can see where the rainbow ends, and it's right at my 6p. But because characters in this game have double jumps, right? You can jump at me and then air dash backwards, or jump at me and then double jump, or whatever, right? You can even use the fucking J2K if you're Chipp to just delay, let the 6p whip a little bit. It's annoying as hell. If you keep on jumping into my 6p, that is likely an indicator that you are not using enough of your mobility options, because frankly what I should be doing is only using 6p when people are air dashing in against me, or only using 6p when people have exhausted all their other aerial options, right? Because it costs me so much on whiff, right? But good players bait my 6p all the time because they know I'm 6p happy. And what I need to be doing is using more 2H or 6H or air throw or JP or JK instead as anti-airs. But I love 6P because it gets me fucking paid, and against a certain level of player, they're just going to keep on getting hit by it. When what you really should be doing is treating the air situation as an option, or as a chance to bait my 6P and kill me. Right? This is a really high commitment move that Chipp can't really afford to use. You can even compare it to like 6H, right? This thing is fucking huge. If I whiff this, you're probably nowhere near me and it's fine, right? But 6P, not so much. 6P, I'll get killed. So first thing that people should do more against me is blitz my JH crossups. The second thing people should do more against me is bait my 6Ps. The third thing that people should do more against me is mash on Gamma Blade. And I realize that I tell people not to mash on Gamma Blade all the time because it's +5. +5 is pretty big. We're just gonna set Kai to block, right? Look at that. +5 from anywhere on screen. Since Chipp is fast, it means that +5 can be meaningful even up here, right? Look at it. Look at this frame advantage. It's so good, right? I can do it off a throw. Boom. Oh, you just have to hold that shit? Cool, right? You can FD it, and then I'm even more plus. That's awesome. So the reason I tell people not to mash on Gamma Blade is because +5 is big enough that if you're consistently mashing on it, I can get lots of sweet like counter hits off. Like I can get counter hit 6P and then follow up with 6H. I can get a 2D into a knockdown. I can get counter hit 2S into like basically whatever I want. You can actually hit FD against that sometimes. If I know that you're gonna mash into Gamma Blade, then I've got all kinds of other stuff ready for you. But if I know that you're not gonna mash on Gamma Blade, then I get to treat it as free repressure options, right? I get to do shit like this, where you're just so busy respecting it that I get to get whatever I want afterwards. And this gives me a really like strong confidence window to just play the game that I want to play, right? I'm fine if you don't mash on 6P or on Gamma Blade, because that just lets me continue to run the mixes that I want to run, right? If you don't mash on Gamma Blade, I'm happy. If you do mash on Gamma Blade, I'm also happy, which is why I'm saying you don't need to mash on Gamma all the time. But what you should do is, if you see me going for Gamma Blade and then doing run up throw, or if you see me going for Gamma Blade and close S, right? Do that a couple times, jacking up that risk, baby. Or if you see me do Gamma Blade and start FDing off some of my my buttons, what that's telling me is you're respecting Gamma Blade so much that I can treat it as an opportunity to get throws in, right? I can treat it as an opportunity to go for like heavy repressure stuff, right? Because no matter where this thing is tagging you, you're respecting it. The thing is that Chipp's Gamma Blade is +5 at anywhere on the screen. +5 over here does not mean as much as +5 up here, right? Because it's going to take me time to cover the distance. Now, I'll still probably have an advantage if I'm expecting that you're going to mash and I run up with like a nice fast normal like 2S, right? So the thing is, I'm not telling you should always mash on Gamma Blade. What I'm saying is sometimes you should mash on Gamma Blade, because the things that I do if I think you're gonna mash are different than the things that I do if I think you're not gonna mash, right? And either way, blocking Gamma Blade is not a great position to be in. You don't want to be there too much. But if it's a situation that's gonna happen, what you want to do is you want to make sure that I have to play a game here, right? That I'm also guessing, just like with Blitz, right? With Blitz and the JH mix-ups, you need to blitz just enough to represent it as an option so that I have to cycle through my options. Because if I get too safe there, then I can spend that brain power on other things. Likewise, if I don't know if you're gonna mash on Gamma Blade or not, then every time I throw out a Gamma Blade, I need to be ready to do something different, right? And that costs me mental effort. But if you sometimes mash on Gamma Blade and sometimes don't mash on Gamma Blade, then this becomes a game. It's still a game where I have the advantage. I'm still +5, right? But if you play it right, you can hit me. And if you hit me, then I'm gonna have to change what I do. And that's gonna cost me mental effort that could be spent elsewhere, right? I will wrap this segment up. I don't know if y'all have ever played StarCraft, but if you play StarCraft, you get pretty used to the idea of treating the game as basically an exercise in trying to overload your opponent's faculties, right? It takes so much mental effort and physical effort to manage a StarCraft game as it gets more and more complex, that the bigger the game gets in terms of number of bases, space on the screen, different like tactical options opened up by tech trees, resource management, all the micro and macro that you have to do, it costs you so much that doing little things like sacrificing a couple units to do an attack which probably won't work but might distract the opponent for a little bit is a very viable tactic, right? So too in Guilty Gear. In Guilty Gear, if you can make me think of more things, even if it's not something you're super committed to, just representing some options like a blitz or a parry or a mash in a bad situation is enough to make me is enough to kind of potentially overload the brain, like my brain work, right? Now, depending on you know who we are and how we're playing and what the matchup is, maybe you won't overload me, but the more stuff you give me to think about, the more stuff I have to think about, the more work I have to do, right? And that's really it. Like, you don't, if you always treat a situation as I do the same thing in every situation because I know that this is the right answer, it becomes easy to play around. You just need to do the thing that beats that. But if you are playing the game with enough disrespect, right? Not maximum disrespect, but enough disrespect to make me have to pay attention, then you're gonna have an easier time winning than you would otherwise. So if that was the 3 things that I think Chipp players should do more of, Last Cody, thank you for the raid. And that was also the 3 things that I think people should do more against me. The last thing I want to do is just hop into a replay review real quick. So I'm going to open up the lobby in case people want to get started playing games. But this next segment, we're just going to go through actually my match last week at Rev Tuesday with CT Warrior, where he blew my ass up and it was awesome. We tend to go back and forth. I think he probably takes more of them these days. I think he's always taken more of them, let's be honest. But I always learn a lot from playing him. So we're going to get the lobby's up. It's WC Play GG. Y'all know what it is. But we're going to get the CT Warrior replay up, and we're going to go through it real quick, and then we're going to play some games. And I hope you like that stuff. Like I said, the goal is to do more of this kind of stream with other people, so it's not just my ass talking. But I want you to see the people who are bodying you in bracket in Rev Tuesday or whatever. I want you to get the chance to see them say, hey, this is what people should be doing against me. This is what people who play this character should be doing. If we get better at sharing this knowledge like that, then we'll all be better players for it. All right.
I'm assuming Pat's headphones are off.
Oh. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and leave commentary off. It makes it a little bit easier to dissect some of what's going on. So I guess the background here, and I don't really have like a big lesson for this replay review. I just picked it because I thought it was a good opportunity to show things that I'm not so great at. CT is really good at understanding some things that I'm not great at and playing around that. But when it comes to he and I with Chipp and Soul, lately I think I've been on the come up a little bit better. I've been playing a little bit I tend to have better results against the Soul than I do his other characters. I guess since the sound is off, we'll go ahead and leave the music on. Did I have problems with the tabs on my golden buttons broken? No. I've not run into that. So that right there, specifically, CT is very good at baiting my 6Ps. And Soul is also hard to 6P. Soul is hard to 6P off the air dash because his JH is so fucking good. And so I've been trying to work on JH, on my 2H more as an anti-air. I was glad to see that counter hit and paid off. Ooh. And generally, you're gonna see me swinging with big buttons here. See, that was a Gamma Blade is something that I poke with way too much. CT knows this, I think. And then I ran into the Fafnir. And you can look at this pace. See, this is something that I actually don't see very often in like lower level play. Check this out. So he hits me, I hit him back, he hits me. Look at him back up for a little bit and then do the Fafnir. Look at the pace here. We're not just relentlessly going in. We're fighting around each other a little bit. See, I ran into that Fafnir because he was staggering the pace up a little bit. He backdashes, then he goes back in. I'm kind of chasing him here. And I end up overcommitting. I have to spend meter. Like, I'm trying to push a faster pace, and he's actually doing a pretty good job of slowing me down a little bit. Ooh. He's also, he picks up on me air dashing over him and fishing for JD a lot. If I do it too much, he'll kill me for it. Oh, the air throw, again, something I've been working on lately. This is the other thing. I can't drop combos against CT. I shouldn't be dropping combos against anyone, but I can't drop combos against CT because that motherfucker cranks super or DP or whatever whenever he can, and I get hit because my execution is not as good as it should be. And then I get caught here. I think I did a late up back and got caught out of jump startup, so nothing too special there. What up, Graffiti? Woo. Yeah, still fishing for 2H a little bit too much. And then running into Fafnir. In general, I try and play a slower game against CT, but what I've been doing consciously against everyone is trying to up the speed a little bit. I think that slow play is more comfortable for me when I know the player in the matchup. But I'm trying to get ready for Frosties where I don't know as many players, and in like a major tournament setting, I think going faster can just overwhelm people. It'll put them out of their comfort zone. Like, I should be more comfortable going fast than anyone else. Get that air throw again. Oh, I've been going for that mix a little bit more, the air dash mix off the FTC Oki. Oh, and then I fuck up my punish. So like when I'm looking at this here, going fast is scary. Motherfucker, you go fast as hell. So when I'm reviewing a match like this, one of the things that I'm looking for is like, hey, when I lost, why did I lose? And right off the bat, I can see 2 points of improvement. One is that I'm going for some higher commitment options in neutral when I was clearly betting a little bit too hard on those. But the second thing, honestly, the more actionable thing is, because sometimes you're gonna press a button and be wrong, right? And you can only do so much about that. The more actionable thing is here, I was dropping shit and that cost me rounds, right? I was dropping big ass punishes. I was dropping, like everything. And that is gonna do, it would be easy to gloss over that when I'm watching this replay, but like my execution is not as good as it should be. And that I definitely take that away like every week at Rev Tuesday as like, oh, I really need to grind this more. So that is like top of my list for Frosty Fausting's improvement. So you can see me fishing for bigger buttons here, right? Like the 2D and the 2H. And the reason is part of being more aggressive as Chipp means swinging with bigger buttons, right? Basically, if you think about it from a health perspective, when Chipp wins clean, great. But if Chipp didn't get a good starter, he's probably not going to get that much damage. He might get an okay mix, but he's not going to get that much damage unless he swung with something major. If Chipp trades, he almost certainly lost the exchange because he has less health than the other person, right? And if Chipp gets hit, he loses, right? So when I'm trying to dial the speed up a little bit, part of that is swinging with bigger buttons so that I can be more likely to win in trade cases, right? If I trade with a 2H or a 6H and they counter hit, I might still get a combo. That's not too bad. If I trade but I swung with like a 5P or something, well, fuck my life, right? So I'm trying to get better at speeding up, but also swinging with bigger buttons to make that risk a little bit more tolerable. It's something that I picked up from watching Bears. I've been watching more of his replays lately. Oh, got a little yellow with the DP, but you got to represent it sometimes. That was not a time to represent it, but sometimes it just feels right, you know. Oh yeah, I don't think I've hit like a single IAD crossup JD in this set. I don't actually. I might just not hit CT with that, but because he isn't punishing me for it yet, I feel like it's more useful than it actually is. You think you're done with Strive? You broke your headset? Ah, my condolences. Woo! Oh my god, so that was a drop right there. I don't know. So it's a little tricky. If you see what happens here, I catch him jumping out with the overhead kick, and I don't know if that fucked up my conversion, but I do know that I missed my 5P into 2H, and then I get air thrown, which is wild. Yeah. Oh, I could have blocked that burst. I should have seen it coming. Baiting burst is something that I don't really have on my mental stack, and that I knew at a certain point that he was just looking for the Grand Viper, so I had to space myself appropriately. Woo. All right. Oh, and then I get caught. So this is another drop, right? Look at this. I get the sweet combo, get the corner knockdown, catch him with a shuriken and almost get that the extension, but instead I get fucking caught, right? It's rough, but that was my bad. I shouldn't be dropping my combos. My execution is definitely a little bit more reliable offline, but I still drop shit like this, right? I got that though. That's some nice big damage. Woo! Yeah, you will not live very long as a human being if you play Chipp and get angry. It's just, I just do not recommend it. Here's another drop. I had the game. Look at this. I could have finished with like literally anything. I could have, so he gave me the black beat here. I could have just done super like I've done a million times, but no, I did a RC because I wasn't sure if that combo was going to hit. And then he fucking mashed super and I lost the round. I could have taken that game, but no, I dropped my shit. And then here, I'm probably kind of tilted. I spend my burst early on. I get air thrown. Woo. Get air thrown again. So this is where CT is punishing me for all those cross-up air dash JDs. And right here, I'm like, I just got to make something happen. I know I'm already, like, the odds of me being able to climb back from this are super tough. I'm just swinging, and it's not working out. Yeah, CT Warrior is fucking sick as fuck. Chat, somebody hit me with it. Or did y'all spend it all already? Yeah. At this point, like, this round is basically over. Yeah, I have a chance.
CT Warrior.
Thank you, Nas.
CT Warrior.
And CT's defense is excellent there. He doesn't let me get anything started. So yeah, that is the replay. Oh, no, with the sad ninja time.
CT Warrior.
Yeah. But so like right off the bat, the pain of loss. The pain of letting your hidden village down. But yeah, so like it's a root cause analysis, right? You're trying to figure out what could I have done differently to win this match instead of lose it. And there are all kinds of things. The important thing to take away from this, and I say this, it's not just useful for me, it's useful for y'all as you review your own replays. Actually, you know what cracks me up is sometimes my videos get muted when we use Naruto music. The sad ninja music works though, it's fine. It doesn't get DMCA'd. But the reason to watch this replay is not to think, oh, here's the laundry list of things that I could have done better, right? Yeah, you can always nitpick your play and find a million things that you could have done better. But the thing is that not all of those million things would have won you the round or won you the game or won you the set, right? In my case, there were definitely some situations where I could have made better decisions, or I could have chosen to defend instead of attack, or picked a different button that would have worked instead of picking the button that didn't work, right? And you have to allow for a certain amount of that when you're playing, right? Because sometimes you're pressing a button, you don't have enough time to see what they're going to do, right? So you have to do the thing that you believe in is best. And if you see patterns in your decision making, yeah, you can fix those. But the big thing to look at, like for me in this set was obvious. It's like, fuck, I dropped my shit. I dropped shit multiple times that led to me losing a round, right? And the way that these matches work, it's like, well, if I win a round or if I win a game, then my opponent needs to play completely differently. It's not like I would win a round and then the next round would go exactly the same, right? So I can look at this and it's like, yeah, there are all kinds of things I could improve, but number one is fucking hit your combos, right? Don't fucking drop that shit. Don't drop any of it. And so that's what I'm going to be working on. It's the biggest thing that I'm going to be working on for Frosties. So yeah, that is the kind of stream that I want to start running on Monday, and that's the kind of stream that the homie Gutter Daughter is going to help me out with organizing. We're going to get as many strong players as possible to come through and drop some knowledge, because it'll make you better and it'll make them better. That's what the fuck is up. That's what we are out here. We out here grinding, okay? When is Frosties? Is it like the end of January? Faustings. Frosty Faustings 2022, January 28th and 29th. So we got basically like what? 3 months. We got a little over 3 months to fucking grind this shit, to level up, and to show everyone how much work we fucking doing. I hope y'all coming through for Frosties, cause you know, listen, I'm gonna be taking some time off, but y'all still gonna get that work, baby. And with that, oh my god, the lobby is full. You love to see it.